Hey everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of the Indie Game Devlog, where I go over the development of my game Orb. Now before we get started, I'd like to take a moment and thank all the new people that started watching. I've noticed a drastic increase in viewers, so thank you to everybody who's watching. I'm quite excited because in this episode we have a fair amount of stuff to cover, so let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is a brand new mechanic in the game. Now, as you guys know, past the point of the demo, the player gets the ability to solve puzzles between 4 different dimensions. However, the way that I set it up felt quite sluggish and awkward, because the player always had to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. You can only jump 1 dimension at a time. It ended up dragging out the gameplay and making it feel slower. So, to make it a bit easier to use and smoother to play, what I've made was a selection wheel where you can go from any dimension to any dimension. This was actually a suggestion from my brother after he tested the game himself. And I have to say it really helps the gameplay flow a lot smoother. This mechanic also makes existing puzzles easier, but it also allows for more complex and interesting ideas for puzzles in the future. I've already gone ahead and made a couple of new ideas that incentivize the player to use this mechanic, so I'm definitely excited about this one. Now, what you're seeing on screen right now isn't exactly the finished version, but I'm glad to say it is functional and without any bugs so far. Now, I actually want to go into how I achieved this because I think it's quite interesting. Here's how it normally works. First, I design and build one version of the puzzle with all the mechanics in it, and then after that I build the different dimensions on top of one another, with a set distance between them. And so every time the player would jump dimensions, they teleport that set distance up or down. So all I had to do was get the value of the dimension you were trying to go to, which was linked to the buttons, so dimension 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then either subtract that from the current dimension that you're in if you're going down, or subtract your current dimension from the one you want to go to if you're going up. And then with the difference of those numbers, I multiply it by the distance between the dimensions and teleport the player up or down. Now the next thing I want to talk about is a new mechanic. I'm saying new because it actually existed within a demo, although it was just never used within any of the levels, except for an unused 4-dimensional test level. Now, what is this mechanic, you ask? Drumroll, please. It's stairs. It's stairs. It's nothing too special. It's just a staircase that goes up and down if it gets powered. Although I feel like it could be fun if it's used together with all the other mechanics. It could be used to unlock new areas or just some general minor stuff. However, the version that I have right now is definitely a lot better than the one I had in the demo build, because this one is actually a modular version. The old one I had to do it stair by stair. So this is definitely an improvement. So it's nothing too special. And if you guys were curious, here you can actually see it in the cut level from the demo. Yeah, I'm trying to go for a slightly different style with the newer version, because a lot of people didn't seem to like the staircase design in the old one. Now in the second episode I mainly talked about my process of designing levels, and the way that I said I'd done it, and the way I have been doing it was by drawing it out on paper and then making a digital version within Photoshop. After a while I realized that this maybe wasn't the best way of planning out the levels. It was a bit slow and inconvenient, and didn't allow for too much flexibility, because all I could do was just go for straight lines and blockiness, which is technically fine, but it really limits your creativity. So the new way that I'm designing levels is actually by just drawing them, although now I just draw them digitally with a tablet. Nothing too special, new or fancy, but with this method it just allows me to be more flexible with my level design. I can just come up with a lot more unique things, rather than just sharp corners and a grid-like level. It also allows me to create levels a lot easier, because if I draw them on paper and I mess up or I don't like it, then I'll have to start over from scratch usually. This just allows me to erase the parts that I don't want to, or just undo what I did, and then make some quick changes. It also allows me to add notes to levels, so I can give a lot more life to it, like sound cues or events that I want to happen, or secret things. Just, I can always add some side notes straight away on the canvas. After designing a few of the new levels, I really noticed that the levels that I came up with when designing them in this way are a lot more unique and just have a lot more life to them, really. So this is the way I'll probably be planning them out from now on. It's just a lot more efficient, really. Now the last thing I want to talk about is another new mechanic that I'm working on, that you can see on screen right now. However, it isn't finished yet, so I'm not going to reveal what it does yet. But feel free to guess in the comments what you think this mechanic is for. There's a lot of new stuff going on and a lot of new mechanics that I'm currently building that I'm going to try and talk about in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you want to see updates of the game in the future, feel free to subscribe. And if you want to see more updates outside of YouTube, consider joining our Discord. See you in the next one.